coming up on every single muscle. Yeah, the Rock Lords. They're pretty badass, aren't they? This is a Chuck Norris action figure. And then I walk up to the best vendor at the entire flea market. He had this amazing soccer ball, MadBall. I was like, can I walk up and touch it? I needed to physically make contact with it. What's up, internet? Every single muscle here. And this last weekend, I went on another toy hunt. We had a great time at the Pasadena City College Flea Market, which is kind of our favorite flea market in the entire Los Angeles area. In general, I felt like it was a really productive day, and I walked out with all this great stuff. And unfortunately, when I got home, I found out that almost all my footage was corrupted. But hopefully I could still cobble something together, because I certainly bought enough toys to have a conversation with you guys about it. So here we go. So we're walking through the flea market, and the first thing I spot is this dirty plastic bag full of little tiny plastic things. Most people might say junk, but for me, I saw the potential in it. There were little animals, there were little dinosaurs, but more importantly, there were little Chinasaurs. And if you don't know what Chinasaurs are, I am going to tell you whether you want to know or not. While the term Chinasaur is often used to describe any cheap, unlicensed plastic dino thing, it more precisely refers to this particular group of not actually dinos. There's the standing gator, the huggy dragon, the armadillo, the derposaurus, the rockadactyl. But perhaps the most interesting thing about Chinasaurs is that back in the 70s, when Gary Gygax was writing the first Dungeons & Dragons monster manual, he reportedly picked up a bag of plastic Hong Kong dino thingies and then modeled several of the early D&D monsters directly after them. So the Rust Monster, that's a Chinasaur. Bulette, probably my favorite Chinasaur. The Owlbear, an extremely rare Chinasaur. If you stumble across that one, you better snatch that bad boy up real quick. And then there's this one, who some people think was the inspiration for the Umber Hulk. I'm not entirely convinced. Some say this derpy assortment of plastic junk first popped up as early as the 1960s. And miraculously, they're still being produced to this very day. So yeah, $2 well spent. But after that amazing $2 purchase, arguably one of the great purchases in flea market history, I found something else great. There was a big old bin of plastic figures. A lot of them were more modern. There was some Power Rangers stuff in there, but I wanted to just give it a quick look, and I'm glad I did, because inside that box was this. And if you're not familiar with it, this is a Rock Lord. Yeah, okay, let's get into Rock Lords.
Rock Lords, rocks that come alive. Rock Lords, fighting to survive, living rock with strength and might, rising up to crash and fight. Rock Lords, powerful living rock.
Yeah, the Rock Lords. They're pretty badass, aren't they? And kind of like how my beloved Battle Beasts are a spin-off of Transformers, the Rock Lords are a spin-off of Transformers' less famous cousin, the GoBots. And sure, the Rock Lords can't turn into jets or cars or trucks or dinosaurs or anything particularly cool. They just turn into rocks. But my motto with toy collecting has always been, the stupider, the better. Hey everyone, if you don't already, why not subscribe to the channel? We're talking every single muscle. We're talking every single battle beast. And we're talking every cool, weird, little vintage rubber dude along the way. If you like vintage toys and action figures, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell thingy. What are you waiting for? Okay, look, I'm a toy collector, and that means I occasionally collect Kenner Star Wars figures. So I found a couple Ewoks, and they were each labeled $5. And then the guy goes, hey, just so you know, all of those are half off, which means they're only $2.50 each, $5 for 2 Kenner Ewoks. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And at that same vendor, I picked up this classic gorilla wind-up toy. Unfortunately, he's missing his actual wind-up mechanism on the side there. Hopefully that's something I can replace in some way. But either way, it's a pretty cool toy. The next table I wandered up to excited me the most of anything I'd seen so far. I'm talking stuff from the 80s and 90s specifically, right in my wheelhouse. I wish I still had the footage. And so we walk up to this table, and what I see on the end is 3 plastic bags. One of them is full of Ghostbuster stuff. The second one, absolutely chock full of Chuck Norris Karate Commandos.
Chuck Norris stars in Chuck Norris Karate Commandos. With his team, Pepper.
It's too dangerous, Chuck. Wow.
Too much.
Too much.
Kimo, the Samurai Warrior. Chuck Norris stars in Chuck Norris Karate Commandos.
This is a Chuck Norris action figure. Yeah, what can I say about these guys? When you see them in front of you, it's hard to deny the awesomeness of Chuck Norris and his mustache in plastic form. Okay, so once I decided that those Chuck Norris figures were coming home with me, I went back to that third plastic bag, and it had these guys inside.
Universal Studios monsters are on the loose. You can get one toy and glow-in-the-dark sticker inside every Kids Club meal at Burger King.
Wow, really nice costume.
I've had my eye on the Universal monsters for a while now, especially the Wolfman for some reason, but the Dracula who pops up out of his coffin is just a sight to behold. It is a true joy to play with. And my wife also collects Universal monsters, so
She actually approves of this purchase.
yes, she does. Also included in the same buy, this red Voltron lion. I already had two of the others, the green and the blue, and so when I saw this guy, I got it thrown in, and now I'm 3/5 of the way there, almost to a full Voltron. And the last thing that guy threw in was this Battlestar Galactica Cylon with the paint absolutely rubbed off in every way. Maybe we'll paint him up ourselves. I don't know what I'm going to do with him just yet, but I just couldn't resist. So I'm on a roll. I got all kinds of great toys, and then I walk up to the best vendor at the entire flea market. But I've spent the majority of my budget. Big Leftyz Collectiblez. I'm so sorry that I did not get to use the 35 plus minutes of footage that I shot standing in front of your booth, because it was just awesome stuff. A Mr. T doll in box, an Inhumanoids figure in box, the entire WCW Galoob collection with their belts for only $100. He had this amazing soccer ball, MadBall. I was like, can I walk up and touch it? I walked right behind his booth and up to it and touched it. I needed to physically make contact with it, and there's no evidence that that ever happened. So, yeah. But I still had a couple dollars left in my pocket, and I found one last table with a bunch more little goodies, and miraculously, that footage actually survived. So let's take a look. Never seen this Predator before. Oh my gosh, I want to buy things. I bought too many things already. This guy's got some great stuff. The A-Team. Check it out, Kinkeshi. Yes, my jam. Love this, love it. Okay. I think I might buy a few things. Because I can't resist, because this place is dangerous. So yeah, a couple last minute necessary pickups. Let's dig into them. First, we got these two bootleg Poltergeist Kinkeshi figures. I actually just did an every single muscle short on this guy, so it's really weird and apropos that the two of them just showed up when they did. You don't expect to see these. You don't see them every day. They're not common. I mean, they're not uncommon, but you just don't stumble upon them. And then there they were after I had just had an extensive TikTok about these guys. Naturally, I had to buy them. But if you want to learn more about this spoopy little dude, check out the link at the end of the video. Now let's talk about Mighty Max for a second. I don't really collect Mighty Max stuff. I bought one recently because it was a good deal, and I bought this one because it was a good deal. And now I'm afraid that I'm going to buy Mighty Max toys whenever I see them. And maybe that's a good problem to have. She might disagree. Serious question here for Mighty Max collectors. What kind of stands do you buy? Because I don't know how to hold them upright. Please let me know in the comments. I'm really trying to figure out the best way to display this. And also this. So that's it. That's all the fun stuff that I picked up at the Pasadena City College Flea Market. I think it's a really good selection of vintage figures. It's got a little bit of everything in there. You want this stuff. I want this stuff. This is real good stuff. This is primo plastic crack. And I know that there were some technical difficulties going on here, but this is just the beginning. We're going to be going on more toy hunts. We're going to be deep diving on the lore and the science and the history of figures. But most importantly, we're going to be talking about every single muscle.